Australia is voted as one of the top 5 best countries to live in by a research conducted by Lifestyle Organization. Since 1992, Australia has averaged greater than 3% economic growth and recorded over 17 consecutive years. This economic stability places Australia in the top list of developed countries. But Australia lags behind its peers in terms of the most basic rights for its citizens, the right to marry whoever one chooses to.
I just don't think that marriage is the right term to put on it.
Marriage Act should stay in the same way that it is now.
In the bigger picture of things, it is just not something that occupies a lot of my consciousness.
We're advocating for a change to the platform to enable equality in all things, including marriage.
With more than 20 countries legalizing same-sex marriage, including conservative Catholic country, Ireland's recent constitutional referendum vote in favour of marriage equality makes Australia look backward in comparison to most other developed English-speaking countries.
It is important for me to go ahead and affirm that I think same-sex couples should be able to get married.
Portugal's parliament says yes to gay marriage.
Mexico City has legalized gay marriage.
Le gouvernement présente un texte de loi de grand progrès, de grande générosité, de fraternité et d'égalité.
Well, to me, it means that more love is more love. It's quite simple, and I'm happy for this country.
It's very exciting. We're making history, you know.
Prime Minister Xavier Bettel married his partner Gauthier Destiné to become the first EU leader to marry someone of the same sex.
The country had become the first in Latin America to legalize same-sex marriage.
Uruguay's 92-member Chamber of Deputies voted in favor of a bill called the Marriage Equality Project.
Parliament voted allowing homosexual couples to marry and adopt children.
So I don't support gay marriage in spite of being a conservative. I support gay marriage because I am a conservative.
Elias Chashon is the editor-in-chief of Star Observer. Star Observer is an Australian monthly national magazine which has been setting gay and lesbian agendas since 1979.
I find it strange that we don't have it when you do think about Ireland enacting it just a few months ago, and even Mexico has it, and even Brazil and Argentina and Spain and Portugal. Those are all very strong traditional Catholic countries, and for some reason Australia is meant to be far more secular than those countries, and we don't really have that. I think the momentum surrounding it is great. There's a lot of public discussion about it, especially in mainstream media. This was almost unheard of 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and the increase in discussion about it in the public sphere, in the mainstream society is fantastic, and that's the only way that we can sort of maintain pressure on politicians to make sure they legislate it as soon as possible. There's a lot of speculation about political gains and political strings being pulled behind office doors in Canberra. Is probably the main reason. No doubt there are a lot of conservative politicians on both sides of politics, in the Coalition and Labor, who are blatantly homophobic and don't want to see marriage equality legislated. But then there are also a lot of progressive politicians who are publicly in support of it. But then you have a lot of politicians who are in the middle ground, who whether they are either unclear about where they stand on it, or they had publicly expressed support, but they probably vote against it in Parliament because they don't want to lose votes in the electorate.
In August 2004, the Howard government defined marriage as a union between a man and a woman banning same-sex marriage. Legalizing same-sex marriage would involve the legislation to change the Marriage Act.
There's all these excuses that keep coming up for why politicians won't legislate for marriage equality, and they're all pretty lame and pretty immature excuses. It's just all it is just an amendment of the Federal Marriage Act, and it's just basically amending 6 words in the Federal Marriage Act to make sure there's it's the marriage between 2 people, rather than specifying that it has to be between a man and a woman. 6 words, that's all it is.
Hi, Tony Abbott. I'm here with a few thousand people at Sydney's Town Hall. We're just about to march for equal marriage rights.
Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott made it very clear to the Australian public that he is a traditionalist, even though his sister Christine Foster, Liberal councillor of City of Sydney, campaigned for marriage equality.
We need to take the politics out of it now. It's too important to too many people to play political games with something like marriage equality.
And I wish her and Virginia all the best for their future happiness.
And you'll go to her wedding.
And if there's a ceremony of some kind, yes, I'll be there with a present. I'll do the right thing. But look, I am a traditionalist now on this. From time immemorial, in every culture that's been known, marriage or that kind of solemnised relationship has been between a man and a woman.
I did remind her I've got a bet with you that you'll change your mind within 5 years.
I fear that's a bet you're likely to lose now.
Tony Abbott was essentially a roadblock, and he's also a lot of our MPs are being influenced by lobbyists such as this great Australian Christian lobby, who have far too much power than they should, and other MPs who are just homophobic or bigoted in their own right.
Homosexuality. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I probably feel a bit threatened.
Oh, hi! Well, you called me fat earlier. I did not call you fat. You did. I did.
Jasmine Murray, a resident of Ireland, met her partner Sophie in Sydney. Even though Jasmine is aware that same-sex marriage isn't legalized in Australia, she still hopes it will soon change so that she and Sophie can have a future they're dreaming of.
I was like, do you remember I was like, I will be with you. Like, you will be my girlfriend. Yeah. One day. Yeah.
After fighting for marriage equality in Ireland and seeing the referendum pass, Jasmine and her partner Sophie, an Australian citizen, have been fighting for marriage equality in Australia.
It's really hard moving from like a country that, like I was there, like we went out and like we were at every rally, knocked on people's doors, like went to fundraisers, like was really a part of like making that happen, and then to see that be legalized and then to come to a country which is so like you would expect it to be just legal here. Like I was kind of unaware up until coming up to the referendum, and then I found out, I was like, oh, Australia hasn't legalized it. So it's kind of like, from like being like, it makes you feel a bit like a second-class citizen a little bit. Because like you can see people that like, like they can get married tomorrow and they just, or like people who go to Las Vegas and, have like a shotgun wedding, like you get married by Elvis. They met a week beforehand, and you see all these couples that have been together for years and like fighting for this, and like the amount of couples that will now will not get the chance to marry in their lifetime, which is kind of sad.
It's over. The battle for same-sex marriage has been won. The big yes vote in Catholic Ireland last week really ended the resistance.
Especially like 2 weeks before the vote, like just felt really judged about like my life, and like you had people telling you that like your lifestyle's wrong, you're going to hell, or you're like a worse person. And yeah, there's been times in my life where I thought that, oh God, maybe there is something wrong with me, and maybe I couldn't be like this. And that was not a nice time either. Sydney, like, itself is quite a gay city, and it's a city I feel particularly comfortable, you know, like walking down the street holding your hand, and I have no problem with that. I don't feel like we've really had anyone be like, ugh. The beautiful one. No, I know what it is. It's this one.
Did you guys have any problems coming out?
I didn't really, especially not with like family. Like, I grew up in a kind of household that, you know, it was so normal, and you know, I was always taught that it didn't matter who you loved, and as long as you were happy, that they'd be happy.
I was terrified to come out. I suppressed that feeling for years. I came out when I was 17, 18, but because, I don't know, I came out pretty brutally. I was bullied for years in high school, and after the fact, like, I lost so many friends because I came out.
I feel like if it was legalized, there wouldn't be, like, children wouldn't be told that, you know, like, they're wrong or for how they feel. Because I don't know, I kind of felt like that.
We hear a lot about marriage equality, but what about equality for kids?
Children have an equal right, wherever possible, to both a mum and a dad. So-called marriage equality forces a child to miss out on a mother or a father. That's not equality for the kids who miss out. That's not marriage.
Give every child their chance of a mum and a dad.
Children have a right to be in relationship with their mother and father whenever possible. And as a society, we shouldn't normalize a family structure that requires children to lose one or both parents to be in that household.
According to Galaxy Key findings, 48% of Australians think that a child should have the right, where possible, to both a mum and a dad.
Like, the main argument against same-sex marriage is always, think of the children. Yeah, think of all these children who are being raised by same-sex couples, whose parents aren't allowed to marry because their family is supposedly different.
Take me to church, I worship like a dog at the shrine of your life. I'll tell you my sins and you can sharpen your knife. Offer me that deathless death, the good God, let me give you my life. Take me to church, I worship like a dog at the shrine of your life. I'll tell you my sins and you can sharpen your knife. Offer me that deathless death, the good God.
After children's rights, religion seems to be the next big hurdle to stop legalization of same-sex marriage in Australia.
And even that is just strange because the Christian lobby in Australia is nowhere near as fanatical as the evangelical movement in America, and they still have marriage equality. But the Supreme Court was the one who did that, not Capitol Hill in DC.
According to a poll conducted by Galaxy Research, 64% of the Australians are in support of marriage equality. Justin Coonan is the chairperson of Gay and Lesbian Rights Lobby. GLRL was established in 1988 and has led many of the reforms to give legislative equality for gay lesbians and their families in New South Wales.
Well, it's interesting because the Australian public made up its mind a long time ago in support of the reforms, but I think we shouldn't underestimate the amount of conservatism which is still in Australian politics, and in particular the role that powerful religious organisations have over politicians. That is changing, but it's taking some time to change.
One of the arguments against gay marriage that we just spoke about is that if it becomes law, all other alternative marital visions will be allowed.
If you expand the definition of marriage to 2 men and 2 women, why stop there? Why can't polygamists get married?
If you okay gay marriage, then you have to do plural marriage.
Why can't 16-year-olds get married?
Can you marry a duck? It does lead to a more libertine or permissive society.
There's no way that the state of California can deny a marriage license to 4 spouses now, 8 spouses.
There is a gay and secular fascism in this country
that wants to impose its will on the rest of us.
A tyrannical Supreme Court that has decided to moralize from the bench.
Why can't we accommodate a man and two women, or a women and three men?
Why not a man and a woman, a woman, a woman?
Triads, three people getting married.
It's been a rough year for proponents of traditional marriage.
I guess Ted's okay with the story out of New York Magazine this week that an 18-year-old daughter wants to marry her biological father.
Do we no longer say father and mother? Do we only say parent?
I think those people who say those things should be mindful of the impact that their words have, particularly on young lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, intersex people. We know that these people have rates of suicide and depression many, many times the national average. And hearing stereotypes portrayed in the media and opinions cloaked as facts, which are harmful, is really deleterious to their mental health. And I think those politicians need to look very carefully at why they're saying what they're saying.
With ongoing heated debate in Australia regarding legalization on same-sex marriage, Australia ironically remains famous worldwide for the Mardi Gras parade, also known as the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras, which was started as an attempt to bring about public acceptance of homosexuality and as a retaliation to police brutality in the 1970s.
It's like another world. But that's the thing with Pride, you know? Like, everybody loves Pride.
Yeah,
like, it's
that's
such a
it's
party.
Like it's just a big party.
Well, it's just celebrating, you know,
your life.
Your life.
Yeah.
Pride is not just for gay people. Like, Pride is
Oh,
about
no.
just showing, like, being true to yourself and showing who you are, I think.
On the other side of the globe, recognizing marriage equality in the LGBT community, England declared marriage equality, holding its chin up with pride. Even with a strong opposition from the Catholic Church, England changed its law in the Parliament to legalize same-sex marriage.
So I just carved this today. I've never actually really worked on wood, so yeah, so it was taking 2 hours to carve.
Nick and Stevie are a gay couple residing in London. They entered civil partnership when England legalized same-sex marriage.
It's been a bit of a revolution, really, I would say. 20 or 30 years ago, we didn't think in terms of gay marriage. But I think everybody has come to accept it now. And, we've had in this country the civil partnership for 10 years, but in practice everybody thought of it as marriage. And everybody started talking about people in civil partnerships as being married. So there really was very little reason why we shouldn't have the full marriage.
History has been made in the UK with the first same-sex couples getting married on the stroke of midnight. Prime Minister David Cameron says the historic change to the law sends a powerful message about equality.
For us here, though we entered into a civil partnership in 2005, we had what we called the non-legal ceremony that Ken Livingstone brought in, which was his, he was then the London Mayor of London, and he brought that in. So it allowed us a chance, even though it was non-legal, it didn't protect us, but it was a start. And then when they brought in December of 2005, we then went in and signed the papers. And then from there, the discussions opened up into marriage. Now, this question about what, what has it done for us as two gay men? And I remember Nick when we first, the first week as they sat down, went, I've got you, you're mine now. And I do, but bless them. And I just think, but because there's also that about, when people get married, they're together, man and woman, it doesn't matter who you are.
Nick and Stevie were actively involved in the struggle to legalize same-sex marriage in England.
When the same-sex marriage law was going through the English Parliament, this was really what the main arguments were about. How will it affect the churches? the religions. At one point they announced that gay clergy would be allowed to be in civil partnerships, provided they undertook not to have sex. But now, of course, the issue has come up once or twice. There have been cases, there have been 2 cases so far, I think, where priests in this country, English priests, have gone ahead and had entered into a civil same-sex marriage with their partners, long-term partners. And one of them has been kicked out of his job, but the public has latched on to the idea of marriage as something that they can understand and they can see. And you can see that in the popular papers. As soon as civil partnerships came in, the papers all wanted to see, wanted to go and photograph all these celebrity couples. We suddenly saw Elton John on the front page of the newspapers. So it's an issue that the general public can relate to.
Stevie and Nick are excited to get married in the next month to symbolize the love and their struggle to legalize same-sex marriage in England.
We don't actually have to do it, but because both of us, for a very long time, Nick longer than me, have fought for gay rights for most of our lives. So I feel symbolically it's really important that we do it regardless. So I've decided we're doing it on my birthday. Wow. So when I turn 50, we also get married.
All the way from Ireland that you thought was a backward country, but we have more progressive laws than you right now. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
I have a lot of Australian friends, and if they can't have what we have, I mean, you know, you'll see them immigrating over here. So if Australia want to lose a lot of talented, extraordinary individuals, then they should support them rather than stigmatise them or repress them. Because it's not about orientation, it's not about who you sleep with, it's who you love. As you said, it gives us a platform to be able to kind of say to the world, well, here we are.
We could thank Australia, actually, because we think of Australia as basically a liberal country, although maybe it's not quite so liberal as it was in the past. But we, in Britain, we have to thank you for 2 people. Germaine Greer, who came over here and was a leading light in feminism, and Peter Tatchell, who came over here from Australia, has been a leading light in gay rights campaigning. So thank you, Australia.
Yes, thank you for Peter and Germaine Greer.
Hi, Glenn. Hey, will you sign a petition to overturn Mayor West's ban on gay marriage?
Gay marriage? Oh, come on. 2 halves can't make a hole without a hole. Giggity, 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 giggity. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang.
Because if the government in Australia don't sit up and take notice, they're going to have a lashback at some point, because you can't contain that. And if Australia doesn't take inspiration from Britain and say, okay, look, you know, we have one of the biggest Mardi Gras, whatever, all the gays come over. Can you imagine if every gay decided to boycott Australia?
I don't think I'd want to live in a country like that.
Yeah, that's true. I wouldn't want to live in a country that
voted against my rights.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of evidence from places like America that when same-sex marriage, or as we call it, marriage equality, is legalized, the impact on the health and well-being of lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, intersex people is demonstrable and significant. People feel better about themselves. and who they are when their government recognises their relationship. So this reform will harm no one, but it'll bring benefit to many thousands of people.
Probably the biggest benefit is that it's a symbolic move from the government that says to every single LGBTI person in Australia that it's okay to love the person of the same gender, and we will support and recognise your marriage.
A change that will change many lives in the LGBT community in Australia is yet to come, but that doesn't dampen their spirits. As you can see, people are still fighting for marriage equality.